start of the year.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Just a moment. Okay, you're all set.
Okay, thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Trustee Cheney?
Here.
Trustee Foster?
Here.
Mayor Newhart?
Here.
Trustee Calora?
Here.
Trustee McKnight?
Here.
Stephen Gaba?
Okay, may I have a motion to accept the minutes of April 1st, 2024?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Oh, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And a motion to accept the following reports: March 2024, Clerk's Office, Justice Department, Planning Department, Building Department, and Department of Public Works.
Just a,
Yes?
So moved. Let's
Yeah.
get it.
sorry. Yeah, just a quick note that the minutes are not on the web page.
They are
website.
now. Sorry, Tom pointed that
They're-
out. They should have been, but.
They're not there.
Yeah,
You need a second.
we do need a
Second.
Okay, any more discussion?
Oh, now they are.
Yeah. No, it's, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sorry about that.
And a motion for authorization to pay all approved and audited claims in the amount of $194,606.04.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the chief is not with us this evening. But we have a public hearing on the tentative budget. And Raina, would you please read the public notice?
Please take notice that the public hearing on the tentative budget of the Village of Warwick for the fiscal year beginning June 1st, 2024 will be held on Monday, April 15th, 2024 at 7:30 p.m. at Village Hall, 77 Main Street, Warwick, New York, at which time and place all interested persons will be given an opportunity to be heard. Copies of the tentative budget will be available for review on the Village's website, www.villageofwarwick.org, beginning April 5th, 2024. Hard copies will be made available to the public by mail upon receipt of written request. The compensation proposed to be paid to each member of the village board is as follows. Mayor, $58,464.48. Deputy Mayor, $10,405.37. Trustees, $8,774.90 each.
Okay, thank you, Raina. And I want to just give an overview of the budget for this coming year. I'll start with the tax levy summary. The general tax levy is $3,450,164. And the prior year's omission was $446. The water land tax was $476,070. The sewer land tax was $0 for this year. The sewer land improvement was $428,000. The total levy was $4,354,234. And that is just numbers, but this is sort of the real guts of what the budget is. The New York State Comptroller set this year's cap at 2%. As defined in the law, the allowed levy growth or tax cap is the lesser of either a 2% growth or the inflation factor, CPI, the Consumer Price Index, for this year, which was 6.26%. And I'm pleased to report that the Village of Warwick has remained within the 2% cap guidelines for this coming fiscal year. Some highlights of this year's budget: in the general fund, and just for the public to know that we have sort of three categories within our budget: the general fund, the water fund, and then the sewer fund. And under the general fund, for equipment and projects, in Village Hall, we have records management, building and planning, 75 and 75 Main Street, which is next door, a building that we recently purchased, repairs. Central garage, a new pole barn is planned. Hot water pressure washer machine is a purchase. Streets and roads, South Street sidewalk, which would be repairs between 3rd Street and Lawrence Avenue, a new skid steer and grader blade purchase, paving, road improvements based on New York State DOT CHIPS. The total for that amount is $213,548. In parks, a purchase of security cameras, a stair replacement on the carriage path, which is in the South Street parking lot and is actually part of a park, which is called a linear park. Memorial Park, Dog Park, and over 35 field repairs. In grant applications, these grants are in the process. The process has begun for the following grants: the 2024 HUD and CDBG South Street ADA sidewalks, $112,000. Safe Streets for All, $170,000. LGRIMF Records Management, $40,942. Route 94 Multi-Use Trail Feasibility Study, $50,000. New York State Justice Courtroom Improvements, $10,000. In the Water Fund, for equipment and projects, under purification, well number 3 construction, new sewer line for well number 3, and removal of a sewer leach field. Under water pump stations, Maple Avenue Pump Station relocation. Under transmission and distribution, reservoir land acquisition through New York State DEC Water Quality Improvement Grant, treatment plant roof replacement, and water tank replacement Village View, as well as water meter replacements. In grant applications, the application process has begun for the following grants: the US EPA lead service line lateral inventory, $575,770. Federal grant, that is a federal grant, also a federal grant through the Office of Congressman Pat Ryan for well number 3, $940,000 and $940,131, and Senator Skoufis low-cap DASNY grant for the Maple Avenue Pump Station relocation, $250,000. New York State DEC Water Quality Improvement Project, the reservoir land acquisition totaled $288,150. And under sewer fund, equipment and projects, the sewer pump station, replacement of the secondary effluent return pumps, and the sewer collection system, sewer jet truck purchase, inflow and infiltration study, and repairs to the RBC units. And the sewer plant, of course, continues. It's a $12 million upgrade. And under grant applications, the grant application process has begun for the following grants: the New York EFC Clean Water Fund, $3 million. Water and sewer usage for this coming year, the rates are increased for in-village use only, 6% increase on water rates and 4% increase on sewer rates. And so that is kind of the big picture and some of the details of what we have been doing for the past 3 months. And trying to come up with a very balanced budget, a lot of details, and I would like to thank Michael Vanieri, who's our accountant, but in particular Sadie Becker, who is the village treasurer, and the board of trustees, and all the heads of the departments who really put this budget together. It's all that information that has to be coalesced, and Sadie is the person that does that, and she's pretty incredible at doing it. So my hat's off to her. So I'm very pleased that we could remain within the 2% cap this year. It was definitely a challenge. And I think it's a challenge not just for us, but also for communities throughout New York State, because the cost of purchasing things, the inflation, has made things very, very expensive, especially when it comes to infrastructure projects. But we did it, so I'm very grateful for that. So I'd like to open it up to the public if you have any questions, any thoughts of this year's budget.
Can I make a comment?
Yes.
So also earlier this year, we the town hall invited first and second graders from Sanfordville Elementary to come and meet elected officials. They met town officials, they met some of us village officials, and the first and second graders brought their observations of things improvements that they thought the village could have to make the village kind of a more welcoming place for themselves and for others. And among those, and also just observations that they had about things that could enhance our community, and some of the things that they had flagged we were already in the process of doing or already had, which was really great news. But they asked for things like first aid kits at the parks and more children at play signs. They asked for more garbage cans and recycling bins, and those things also made it into the budget. So want to thank the first and second graders for participating in that way. You know, a lot of folks see village government as something that is reserved for adults to participate in, but children inherit the decisions that are made at this level, and they bring unique perspectives. Every village resident brings unique perspectives to our community, and sometimes folks, they see things that we may not, and so the recommendations were really thoughtful, and they were well, you know, they were well put together, and I think it was exciting to see those things make it into the budget as well.
Yeah.
So just wanted to flag that.
And
And I'd
I'm-
like to see more of that kind of thing.
Well, and I think you have been a definite catalyst for that, and listening to our youth, and I think that's really important, and bringing that to the board's attention, and I appreciate it.
The whole board, I mean,
Yeah.
Mary was there too.
Yes,
So, yeah.
So.
One thing I'd like to add is, I really want to commend our treasurer, Sadie Becker,
Yes.
for doing a great job. When you look at some of the price increases across the board, I mean, I know you mentioned the CPI at 6+% this year, but when you look at chemicals to treat the water, energy, insurance, up 10, 15, 20%, to be able to keep it under a 2% cap is really a difficult challenge.
That's right.
And I think Sadie did a great job challenging everybody across the board.
That's true.
And so I just want to point that out, that I'm grateful for Sadie's work.
Yeah. Thank you. Anyone?
Questions?
Yes, please.
I have two questions.
Of course.
The first one is the village roads.
Yes.
I went to the meeting last week, and I was informed that it was a state issue
It depends what road it is.
just in the village itself.
The main
The
street,
main-
94,
Right,
is
going
is a
towards
state highway.
Corwins and.
Yes, yes, and
all
seven, and
that
17,
stuff.
and 17A. They're both state roads,
Right.
yes.
What can be done about that to move forward? Because they showed me different propositions that, basically it's old.
Right.
To fix the roads and stuff.
Right.
'Cause they're atrocious.
They are.
I mean, and especially in the fall when you have tourists that come up here. I mean, I mean, to be honest with you, I'm sick and tired of getting my tire fixed.
Yeah, well, I had almost a fender bender out here in front of Sunoco because of an enormous pothole, so.
Right. How do we go about it?
Well-
Pushing it forward
well,
instead of waiting.
Well, first of all, there is what's going to happen in the future, and not the far future, is reclamation and repavement of 94, actually starting at the hospital all the way past the country club out to County Route 1. And there's going to be an improvement made at that intersection, which will be called a roundabout.
Right. That's what we're doing.
Right. And then on 17A, back into the village, there's going to be repavement on that route as well, all the way from the country club, let's say, to Bellevale, which is quite a distance. Now, that's not going to be reclamation, it's just repavement, but there'll be improvements made as well along the way. But that doesn't stop, or that doesn't help us now, because the issue is there's potholes that are terrible. And so what I urge you to do is, there's a simple number to call.
I did that
You-
already, I
you-
did that today.
You did that today,
Yeah, I
okay.
was in the village paying my water tax, my water bill.
Okay.
And I was given a number. So I
Okay.
called them right away, but nobody's returned my phone call as of yet.
Okay, and also, if you reach out to our state representatives, Carl Brabenek, who is our legislator, and then also Mr. Scoofus, James Scoofus.
Okay.
And their numbers are readily available online, or you can email them. I mean, there are connection. There are connection to the DOT. I mean, we reach out to the DOT. I mean, we're calling them every day. But the more voices that we have that do that, they'll, the squeaky wheel gets.
Right. What about a petition?
I don't know I think by just really individual calling, if we keep a lot of calls going through, I think that will have, a petition will take time. I think it's the other thing that's important to understand, the plants, the macadam plants, have just opened up. So in the Northeast, it's hard to fill these types of potholes without hot macadam. And the temperature has to be at a certain level before they can open the plants up and create a product that will be good enough. So they've just opened up this past week, and so I imagine that we're going to see some activity. But I urge you to call, or have all your friends call.
Sure, I will.
Yeah, and I mean, if
I'll keep calling.
keep calling, and we will keep calling too. And I've had many conversations in the past 2 weeks with Mr. Brabenek. He's much easier to get hold of than the senator, and they're trying every which way as well. So I think it's also that the DOT is stretched in this region, and that's a pity because it's a very important region, for
Right.
New York
Because
State.
It's not only in the village here and going out to 95 by, Corwins and stuff, it's going into the village of Florida.
Florida.
It's really bad.
Yeah,
Florida is just a nightmare. Yeah.
We're also, so part of their repaving is they're also repairing and looking at pedestrian improvements. And so one of the things that the village has been pushing really hard is improvement of sidewalks along 17A and how those need to be continued down to Forester Avenue. So if you just want to throw that in while you're.
That would be. Yeah. I'll just as a public service, I want to just say that number out loud. So if anybody's listening to this, they will hear. There is an alert number for the New York State DOT for any troublesome areas, and you can call 1-800-POTHOLE, which is 768-4653. The line is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you're up in the middle of the night and you're frustrated,
You'll get a recording.
give them hell. Is that what you got, a recording?
Yes. When I left here, I walked right out and I called right away and I got a recording.
And you weren't able to leave a message?
No, I did leave a
You
message.
did, okay,
And I left a, very detailed message.
okay.
About the road conditions in the village of Warwick in here and then also in Florida and then going out.
Okay.
So,
Well, I appreciate that, too.
but I will definitely get my friends on board with that.
Yes. And sadly, we're not allowed to touch them. And it's frustrating for us.
It's the state.
It's the state. I tell people of a situation that happened many years ago before I was mayor. The village painted crosswalks, just as a service for safety.
Right.
Because all the crosswalks had just disappeared over time. And within 5 days, the state came in and sanded the paint away because it wasn't completely their specification. So, and then they repainted it, and then it looked terrible because of what they had done. So anyway, I know that when this big project is done, it'll be extraordinary. But right now we have to deal with this, and it's not going to be at least a year before we see something happen. So, So if anybody out there listens, if they would please give, make that call to the DOT. Every voice helps.
Sure,
Yeah.
definitely.
Thank you.
And Mayor, construction is expected to begin late 2025, is that right?
Yes.
Or early 2026?
2025.
Okay, that's
Yes.
Not
So they're
late.
finishing the
Not late.
design.
Late. It's supposed to go out to bid this fall, which would mean that it'd probably get awarded and start in the spring. But the things that they're gonna start with are the major improvements, like building the rotary, removing or replacing some of the culverts, redoing the intersection here at Colonial Avenue. So that would get done first, I would expect, and then, once that's all done, then they'll come in and they'll pave. So the paving may not happen until 2026.
But they can fill potholes. in the
Yeah, they
meantime.
can.
I didn't say they couldn't.
Yeah, no, I was just clarifying, yeah.
I
yeah.
thought the rotary was supposed to go into effect last year. That was the meeting that I went to last. They had a
That was in
proposal
Florida?
for 2023. No, over at the village town hall.
The town hall?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
this has been in
it's-
effect.
I mean, we've been playing this game with them for quite a few years, in
Since
terms of.
95.
Hmm? Since what? No.
Since 95.
No. Not that far back, but
Yeah.
it seems it.
Okay.
May I also just have your name for the record? I'm sorry.
My name is Deborah, Deborah, Wittels, Wittels.
Thank you.
So that really had nothing to do with the budget, but that's fine.
I mean, kinda.
When you said roads are there, I said, let me throw that in.
Okay. Well, that's good. I'm glad. So is there anything else?
I have a quick question about Mount Alverno
Could-
nursing home facility.
Could you wait until the actual part of the
Public hearing.
public hearing, or not public hearing, public
Question.
Public comment.
public comments? Thank you. May I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And we have a second public hearing?
Okay.
Yes, please.
Notice of public hearing, Orange County Community Development Block Grant Funding, CDBG fiscal year 2025. Notice is hereby given that the Village Board of the Village of Warwick will hold a public hearing on the 15th day of April 2024 at 7:30 PM at Village Hall, 77 Main Street, Warwick, New York, 10990, on a proposed application for fiscal year 2025 Orange County Community Development Block Grant Program. The Village Board of the Village of Warwick invites public comments and suggestions regarding projects to be considered for funding under the Orange County Community Development Block Grant Program. Under this program, a variety of activities, as listed below, are eligible for funding. 1. Public works, public facilities, or site improvements. 2. Provision of public services. 3. Code enforcement. 4. Clearance, demolition, and rehabilitation for public use. 5. Economic development. 6. Acquisition and disposition of real property for public use. 7. Homeownership assistance. 8. Housing rehabilitation, loan and grants. 9. Special projects for elderly and handicapped. 10. Relocation payments and assistance. The Village of Warwick will be considering projects to be submitted to the Orange County Community Development Block Grant Program. The deadline for submittal is Friday, June 21st, 2024 at 4 p.m. The Village of Warwick Board Village Board will, at the above date, time, and place, hear all persons interested in the subject matter hereof. Persons may appear in person or by agent. All written communications addressed to the Village Board must be received by the Village Board at or prior to the public hearing. Written comments may also be submitted to email address clerk@villageofwarwick.org through April 15th, 2024, until the public hearing is closed. The location of the hearing is accessible to persons with disabilities. If special accommodations are needed for persons with disabilities, those with hearing impairments, or those in need of translation from English, those individuals should contact Raina Abramson, Village Clerk, at 845-986-2031, or clerk@villageofwarwick.org, at least 1 week in advance of the hearing date to allow for necessary arrangements.
Okay. So I'd like to open it up to the audience, to the public, if there's any interest in specific projects. Some of the projects that we have been doing have been ADA compliancy. and those are mostly sidewalk projects. South Street is a great example. We've done the sidewalks actually on the entirety of South Street except for the area between 3rd Street and Lawrence Avenue, and that is slated to be done this year. And so, once that is done, from the center of the village all the way out to Galloway will have been completed in terms of ADA compliancy and also public safety. And just for the board, my thought for this coming year, or for this particular application, was Wheeler from the corner of Main Street to Cherry Street or Spring Street. Beyond that, the sidewalks are in very good condition, but from this point, on both sides, they're in very, very rough shape. We do have a grant right now for Bridge New York, which we're waiting to hear, which would be replacement of the culvert. But I think we could join those two together.
We certainly don't want to do the sidewalks, or we can do the sidewalks up to the culvert.
Right.
And when the culvert work's done, the sidewalks that are
Could be
part of the
part of it,
culvert
part of the
would be extended, so we could do, both sides of it.
Right.
Where's the culvert?
Right on Wheeler.
Down at the bottom of the hill?
It's the bridge, this is the one that is, okay, is this the one that I had sent photos of?
Rest.
Yeah, that's all like rusted and
Yeah,
that one?
yes,
Yeah.
Some of the neighbors have put flower boxes on it.
Yes,
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
which is adorable.
Yeah.
It is cute.
Tom, did you have?
I was under the impression that we have applied so many times to the community block development grant that it was unlikely to be awarded again.
Well, sometimes they do a timeout, a year off. But my thought was to apply and have it ready, and then if we don't get it, then reapply. It seemed worthwhile to at least put it out there. And if there is some money available, then potentially we could get it.
Okay, understood. That said, I'm familiar with the issues of sidewalks on Wheeler. I think there are stretches of West Street that are in dire need.
I agree, yeah.
Where are we at? So the code does put responsibility for maintenance of sidewalks on
The homeowner.
the adjacent property owner. I just kind of want to make sure that people know that, because there's no dedicated revenue source for the village to take care of these issues, and the code does put it on the property owner. And so, and this gets enforced when there's a turnover? Like when is that happening?
No, it could happen at any time. It could happen, with a complaint.
Because some of those sidewalks, they've been in bad shape for a long time, and I know that the reason that we restored the sidewalks on South Street was for the concern about ADA compliance. And a lot of these I know are not up to ADA standards. So,
I think part of our story relative to the South Street sidewalks was the proximity of the park
yes.
and the desire to make that as handicapped accessible as possible, so that they could then take advantage of being able to go to the playground, which is.
Yeah. I just don't want, my concern is that there is a perception that it is the village's responsibility to be replacing these sidewalks and not on the property owners. And so I would like us as a board to revisit the question of enforcement.
Okay.
Unless, unless we can identify a revenue source that would, or some alternate code approach. And so I do think that the Safe Streets for All planning process may be an opportunity to revisit that, but each time we make these improvements, and they're very important improvements, I think it fuels the perception that this is the village's
Right.
responsibility when that's not how the code is written and not how our budget is established, as we all well know.
Or our insurance.
Or our insurance. And so,
Right. No, that's a really good point, and to look at models, that maybe there is something out there that can give homeowners relief if they opt to, repair their sidewalk, are there ways that could be helpful to, or incentives for that?
and there is, not to belabor this too much, but there is another Safe Streets for All round that is due in August, and I've been trying to think about whether or not we could do, if you do anything that is related to implementation of your plan, it's very difficult to get that funded, but there's an overabundance of planning money, and so maybe there's something that we can do around planning, around policy, and data gathering around policy that could really support this. Because we had submitted a funding application last year to support with this investigation, and we were not successful. But maybe I could take some of that and take that over.
I think that would be interesting. That would be really, really good. Okay, well, it's a public hearing. Does anybody have any thoughts about projects that fit into the criteria of community development or CDBG?
Do we have more detail available on what they mean when they say economic development?
I do.
Very
I
broad?
can, it's not that broad. It's rather tight. And it's not that easy to.
Get that money,
Get
yeah.
that money, yeah.
That's what I thought.
So, okay. So with that, can I have a motion to close this public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and now we have a presentation from the Warwick Valley Community Youth Programming.
Can you sit?
Yes, you could,
You're
well,
sitting, so I thought, like,
actually,
hi.
yeah.
Happy spring. My name is Karen Thomas. I know all of you, Director of the Warwick Valley Community Center, and I'm going to be introducing Nina in just a moment. But I'm going to give you, I was with Nina at the center today, and she told me that she's going to be a senior next year. I almost fell over. It was a little bittersweet for me. Nina has been with the community center since age 3. So she certainly has been growing up with all of us, and it's been a wonderful journey having her. I think Nina's like the poster child for the community center.
Okay.
I wanted to give like a brief introduction, and I was trying to edit it down, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So I have to do it this way because I couldn't fit it all in. So this is the edited version.
Okay.
But Nina's been able to take advantage of every opportunity that we've been able to provide. And what's so nice is that all of you have been able to provide those programs. So, it's a wonderful marriage to be here together. Nina went to our preschool for years, and then she also joined in again. You probably have a lot of stuff in between. Our Summer Youth Leadership Academy, which you all support. But Nina doesn't stop there. Nina was a junior mentor. We have a mentoring program with that. And then she went on to be a senior mentor, and then a senior mentor. And then she was able to take advantage of the Orange County Youth Employment Program, which we utilize at the community center, which is a great partnership that we have. So we are able to employ our youth and we take great advantage of having such a seasoned person to be able to help us. So that's wonderful. She's a long-standing member of our youth advisory board, so when you graduate Sila, you're able to do that. And what's so nice is that so many of our teens continue on after sixth grade. So then she's gonna be a senior next year, so we're very happy about that. She's also spoken many times, and particularly at our Orange County Youth Summits and some of our other presentations. She's a member of and liaison of our Coalition Youth Task Force. So, and she was also involved with Red Ribbon. She is the liaison as well. What haven't you done? She's also sort of spearheads our Gay Straight Alliance group, and which is also another program. All these programs you fund, so we're very grateful. And she has recently spearheaded a wonderful program for the GSA to have, like, just have fun. Comes to the center Friday nights, and so that's been a wonderful program, and it's all youth led. Well, it's youth led. With the, and she's presently planning our gay prom at the center, and they're all doing it themselves this time.
Oh, that's
And
Wonderful.
so we welcome all of you. You've all been very supportive of that, so we welcome you to come. And she's also been involved with, well, just about everything we do. She's a talented artist. We've a natural born leader. She was at age 3, and we've noticed. So she, if there's anybody that I can think of that walks into a room and instinctively and intuitively understand what needs to get done immediately, it's Nina. We just bring her in and she just cleans everything, does everything. She's articulate and kind and grace under pressure, and such a role model for all the people that she's mentored. We've been very fortunate in the past 10 years to have award recipients for Orange County Youth Bureau. We've had first and second placements, and this year is no different because Nina has won the Positive Change Leading to Success. So that she will be awarded in June. So I just want to
Wonderful.
say
Congratulations.
So without further ado, that was the editor.
Well, thank you, Karen. You know, if you save that sheet, you've got my resume right there.
Not really.
I mean, you know, I appreciate it. So, as Karen said, my name's Nina. I've been involved with the center and a lot of their programs for a few years now, and when I was younger, of course. But I feel like I've gotten pretty well versed with everything that goes on there, and you know, become familiar with the advisory board, task force, everything during the summer. And especially going into high school, you know, I joined the GSA only to discover that that also was coordinated with you guys. So it's, you know, everything fits together. It's perfect. But a really consistent aspect of all of these programs that I've noticed over the years is that we have a super active participation from our community members, especially like a lot of you guys, everyone who's on the village board, everyone who is actively, you know, planning and working towards improvement for our community. And having the opportunity to interact with you guys and other people who, you know, are so integral over the years, both in group settings, you know, when I was in SILA, when I've been leading SILA, and individual settings when I've gotten to speak to you guys, you know, more individually, personally. It's been very enlightening, and I feel that it has made a huge impact for me. So some of the same people who spoke my first year at SILA, you know, they spoke years prior for different youth groups, and they still continue to, working up to current day and going forward. And like, that's just the sense of dedication to our youth in our town is both admirable and I think necessary, very much so. Dealing with youth can be difficult, especially when you have about 15 of them inside on a summer day. They're not really going to want to listen to you. But someone who I feel has really never had a problem with that is someone who's here tonight. And the first day that he came to Sila, you know, the summer after my 8th grade year, he came in and he immediately grabbed our attention. You know, he taught us about what he does with the village, with his life work, how he's gotten to the point that he's at, and he did so in a manner that was engaging and interesting for, you know, 12-year-olds, and also understandable, which is another layer to work through. Impressively, I've seen this person do the exact same each year since, and they've been involved with many other programs at the community center as well, not just the Leadership Academy, our advisory board, our task force, our coalition. They've been involved with all these programs for over a decade, and not only at the center with those programs and the community garden, but they've also been a member of the Lions Club and director of the Warwick Little League. And he's just spent countless hours servicing Warwick and its members, and has done so in such an incredibly kind and professional manner. So I'd like to thank this individual for his contribution to these programs, because they've given me incredibly valuable experiences that have shaped the way that I view and interact with the world around me, and I know that it's the same for many others. So, all considered, our community really wouldn't be the same without him. And I'm honored to present our board trustee, county legislator, and deputy mayor, Barry Cheney, with the Betty Jane Polanis Asset Builder and Adult Volunteer Award from the Orange County Youth Bureau.
Wow.
So, your volunteerism and your contribution to Warwick and its youth is invaluable, and the recognition for it tonight is well deserved. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Wow.
Very well said.
That was beautiful.
Yes.
Very well said.
Yeah.
Nita, that takes a lot of courage to get up here, not only speak publicly, but in front of a board and recognize someone, so great job.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Nice job.
And good job for helping Nina get to this point, too.
Yes, since day one. I wouldn't be anywhere without you, Karen.
Yeah. Well, we have a remarkable community center.
Yeah.
It definitely has programming that is so substantive and wonderful and truly speaks to our youth and to the community at large. And a lot of it has been through the vision of you, Karen, and your cohorts. But it's really been remarkable to watch it develop and define itself over time. It's expanded and it's grown, and it just has given so much to so many young men and women. And they, I've seen them go through the ranks, and I've seen them, just flourish and become such incredible human beings. And without that, I think they would have had a greater struggle in life. And it has prepared them for those next steps. And you couldn't ask for something better in your community than to have that resource.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And we have to say thank you to all of you. Those programs would not be here without all of your support. And it's not just financial, it's that you always come, you're always supportive, and you really advocate for all the youth programming. So we can't thank you enough. And Barry's, he's a great listener. He's always there to be supportive. He's always there to listen. He's actually always there to help, and he does.
He really does, yes.
In his own way. So we thank you for years and years of commitment. So thank you.
It's been a pleasure. There's nothing, I don't think, more important than our youth, and to get them on the right step and the right path to have a good life, a life that they're proud of, and that they're accomplishing things. There's nothing better than to be able to to be supportive of that.
Thank you. Thank you on behalf of the coalition as well, and all the other programs that you do, so.
Could you tell us a little bit about how kind of a youth gets involved in some of the programming, the advisory board and the SILA and the coalition, and how old they have to be?
Yeah. So for SILA, the Summer Youth Leadership Academy, I've been doing that since the summer after my 8th grade year, but it's open to students graduating 8th through 6th. So it's primarily middle school age. And once you graduate from that, you can join the Youth Advisory Board.
6th through 8th, you say?
Yes.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yes. So for SILA, you have to interview, and we select usually around 14 or 15 kids. So it's the whole month of July, and it's honestly incredible. It's such a learning experience. I think especially taking it the year before going into high school made a really big difference for me, because, you know, we had all these speakers come in, talk about where they were at, like their experience with leadership, everything in their lives leading up to the spot that they've gotten to. And it's so interesting because, you know, people start out, you don't always know where you're going, and it's an important thing, I think, to keep that in mind from a younger age. But you know, guest speakers, field trips, a lot of stuff, especially involved with the Historical Society in Warwick. We do like a couple field trips with them for SILA yearly, and that's really important because it's, you know, getting that integration more into your community, deeper into your community, and I think learning and recognizing more that while growing up, it's natural at first, you're very self-centered. It's like, how am I going to get through this? Part of getting older is recognizing the importance that you have, how you can impact your community, and the ability to rely on your community. It's a very important, like, give and take relationship, I think. So that's something I've learned a lot from it. But like everything I've done with SILA, with Youth Advisory Board, it's gotten me out there. Even one of the best field trips we do, we go to the Belleville community, you know, and we see how differently they live there and everything they do in their day-to-day lives. And we get to talk to other kids our age who are leading these different lives from us. And stuff like that is so important, you know?
Yeah.
So.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
They also, the SILA kids also love lunch with the mayor.
Yes.
And even my 36 and 40-year-olds remember lunch with the mayor.
What are you saying?
It was a highlight for them,
Aw,
yeah.
it's fun.
Well, thank you. Thank you for coming this evening, and
Thank you for having us. Congratulations, Barry.
yeah,
Thank you.
Yes,
it's wonderful,
Barry,
Barry. Really
congratulations.
wonderful.
We do have
Well
to
deserved.
But
That's
thank
okay.
you again so much.
Have a nice night, everybody.
Thank you,
Bye.
Nina. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Karen. Okay. So we'll move on to announcements. The Village of Warwick celebrates Arbor Day 2024 on Friday, April 26th at 9 a.m. at the Roger Metzger Arboretum at Stanley Deming Park. And the public is welcome, and come join us and a very large group of first graders. And also, the same day, the Warwick Valley Gardeners will be having an Arbor Day celebration at 11 o'clock, so right after the one at Stanley Deming Park. And that is at the Albert Wisner Public Library, 1 McFarland Drive. And that will be a wonderful event as well. So, and then the following day, the town will be doing an Arbor Day celebration at Mountain Lake Park I believe it's at 10 o'clock. And the public is invited to all three of those celebrations. And a lot of trees are being planted in the next few weeks, so that's a good thing. And then public
Mayor,
comment.
I will
Yes.
say one thing on that. I think a lot of people, when they hear Arbor Day celebration, they might not think twice about it and think it's not worth their time. But it really is a nice moment, especially when you have the children there.
Yes.
And you hear volunteers talk about the importance of trees around us. You hear the students offer what they think, are the importance of trees. And it's just, it reminds you that it really is important. And it's a nice ceremony. So for anyone listening, if you could make one of those, at least I find it worth my time every year.
Good.
Yeah, me too.
And am remiss in not saying that this is our 40th year of being a tree city. And so we're one of the oldest tree cities. It's part of a Arbor Day program, but one of the oldest tree cities in New York State. And we are actually part of being a tree city is achieving growth awards. And you don't always get a growth award. You have to, do certain work to get there. And we are the longest consecutive growth award recipient in New York State. So I believe it's 23 or 28 years. I'm not exactly sure. But 40 years is a pretty significant number in terms of being a tree city. I believe we are, I believe Poughkeepsie is a bit longer than us, but
Only by a year or two.
only by a year or two. So yeah, we've been planting a lot of trees in this village. So with that, public comment, and now is the time that you can ask us the question about Mount Alverno.
I'm very interested in, I know it's vacant,
Yes.
is the state talking about placing migrants in there, or is there anything that has been brought up? Because I know there is a rumor going around the village that they may want to go into there, or is there anything that has come up? Because I know they're placing them into different parts of the state,
Yes.
my concern.
Yes, I have not heard anything in that respect, and I've been in communication with the hospital and Westchester Medical, who own the facility,
Right.
and their focus is actually to use it as part of their campus as medical facility. They have just recently shifted some of their, so for example, they had a sleep deprivation facility in Florida, on Main Street in Florida. Now they're closing that, but they're bringing that facility potentially there, or they're using different process of it being at home, where they can do this work at people's individual houses. But I've only heard from the administration about using it as some form of medical facility, because they have control over it. They only want to make improvements in the overall campus of what they offer the public. As we know, one thing that they offer is a birthing center that is known regionally, and they recognize that when they have a facility like that is state of the art, that it does bring new people into their fold. So if we hear of something, we will definitely
So they still own it,
they still own it. Yes.
and it is a big facility, but it needs a lot of, work.
It does need a lot of work.
Even, looking from the outside.
Yeah, that's why they left the long-term care business, because they couldn't compete against some newer, more luxurious facilities.
Right.
So
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome. Yes. Hi.
I missed that. What's the name of this facility?
Mount Alverno.
It's right down the street.
Mount
Alverno, and it's part of the Bon Secours campus,
So Westchester.
Westchester Hospital. Yes.
Owns that.
Anyone else would like to? No? Okay. We have to go into executive session, And Gary, do you want to? And when we come out of executive session, the reason why we're doing it earlier, usually we do it later in the meeting, but we may, out of what we discuss in the executive session, have to add a motion to the agenda.
Confidential advice of counsel.
On the bottom.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session to seek the confidential advice of counsel.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
To run to the restroom.
Okay. We're going to be meeting in the clerk's office.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
No, clerk's office. A table full of plaques.